Morning. I've had several requests, issues with the volume. We go back to using the lavalier mic. So I've got it just right here. I didn't clip it in my shirt because it tends to make that rustling noise every time I move. But hopefully you guys can hear me better now. And I'll see if I can crank the volume up on the video just to be safe. So again, if you're having trouble with the audio, let me know. Apparently, it doesn't seem, at first I thought it was just guys who were watching with the telephones, but because of the tiny little speakers, but apparently some folks have said even with their headphones and stuff, or so. Lowest production values on the internet. A couple of guys asked me, or maybe somebody asked twice, I don't recall, but what's the most expensive model I've ever bought? And I really don't know. I did spend over $50 on the Polar Lights 16-inch tall Godzilla. That's the most expensive I remember buying. I might have paid more than that for a vintage model. I think I got the Cherokee, the little one that I got in Fine Skill Modeler, I think I got that for $45. And I'm trying to remember, I paid around that for the repop of the Adams CH-1 helicopter. But I really don't, I'm not really sure what the most expensive one is. I was looking at getting that 1/32 scale trumpeter SPD, which is over $100. And heck, maybe over 130 by now. I think it was 110 when it first came out. That's the first, a regular model I remember seeing over $100, not including ones that were like super gigantic or something. And about a couple of those Gatos, but I don't really, the big 1/72 scale jobs, and I got one on the shelf. Of course, I got the one I'm waiting to build. I got that at the some kind of clearance sale. I remember I got it like $35. I just don't know. It's you don't bat an eye at spending $50 on a model these days, which is kind of sad in its own right. I'm going to kind of hopefully talk a little bit about model pricing with a few folks here. I'm hoping to get the Thursday night, Mike Machat and I are going to talk about some kit models, and since he worked a long time at Douglas Aircraft, I thought it'd be kind of interesting to do one largely on kit models of Douglas Aircraft and why they made what they made, and the kit well, we probably won't get into why kit companies make what they make because that's its own video, but kind of a crossover view, kind of specific Douglas Aircraft, and kit models. And if you've ever seen what in aviation they call an L over D or lift over drag chart, it'd be kind of like Douglas Aircraft kit models, and in the centers where they meet. And by the way, the L over D, the point where the drag and the lift, where they cross, that's where your aircraft is its most efficient. And of course, now when you ask what's the most anybody's ever spent on a kit, it's not really a fair question unless you take into account when, because spending $50 on a kit now and spending $50 on a kit 30 years ago, obviously there's an enormous difference in value. Folks always get confused between money, value, cost, and things like that. And that's like people don't understand the difference between money and wealth. You can have a lot of money but not have much wealth. You win $100 trillion Zimbabwe dollars. That's a lot of money, but it's no wealth. Well, I guess it's arguably not even a lot of money, depending on how you Talk about a lot of money. It's. I imagine a lot of us remember the '73 oil embargo when prices spiked, and I don't remember what it was, but I seem to have a faint recollection of freaking out the first time I saw a model over $5. When my brother would build his 1/32 scale Revell fighter series, uh, they were about $3. This would have been around, I'm going to guess, 1970, and 69, 70. But according to Graham's book, they didn't break the $3 mark until I think the '73 oil crisis. So that might have been when it was. But I just remember, and it's weird how things that stick with you as a kid, because the law of primacy, things learn first or learn best. And when I saw he spent $3 on one of these, in my mind, $3 for a model became the difference between a kid's model and an adult's model. I guess that's would be the way to phrase it. If you were spending $3 on a kit, you were building a serious model. That meant you had to paint it and everything. And sometimes we'll spend money on models of stuff, not just because we like the subject matter, but going back to what Andy Anchus and Dennis Prince were talking about in their book about control. Kids will buy models of stuff, so like things that like science fiction stuff that terrified them. As a little kid, there's one TV show and 2 movies I remember just terrifying the absolute crap out of me, and that was the 1953 War of the Worlds. Those swan ships moving with that noise, I mean, that sound with that eerie view, man, that's how you make a movie, people. And the other one, of course, as I told you before, was when I'm like 7, 8 years old, and I see the 1954 Godzilla with my dad, and of course, it was the Americanized version with Raymond Burr, but still, and all those shots looking up at him, it's dark and everything, because that movie was almost film noir, and the third one would have been the TV show The Invaders, and each one of them, whether by design or just, and I think it was by design, each one of them picked on something in the human psyche that's sort of a fear. In the case of The Invaders, that was in color, but it was the idea that you were the guy who's driving his car, David Vincent, Man Too Long Without Sleep, that you're off on that lonely country road, off by yourself. And I can remember seeing the Aurora Invader ship on the shelf and even getting that kind of creepy feeling, because that box art was perfect, because the landing scene in the Invader ship was the most terrifying part. I'm not sure whether the fact that they were completely human looking was better or worse. And then of course Godzilla was the idea of being small where he's big, which is a natural fear of larger creatures. The fact they slowed it down where he moves slow and everything just added to it. It's lumbering your way, you have trouble getting out of the way. It's like those nightmares where you're running in water. And then the War of the Worlds, man, they just, that movie was tapping on so many cylinders. There's the whole alien invasion thing. They're stuck on the farmhouse, this is the isolation thing. So, not to get into a movie review, but all three of those 3 movies left indelible impressions. Yet it makes you want to build models of the stuff. And I think Andy's right. When you build the model and everything, and you start to embrace it, there is a huge psychology behind model building, and a lot of us build things that we love that we know we'll never have. I'll never own a Spitfire or a Mustang, but I can have a shelf full of them, and so modeling can really serve a lot of masters, you know, and it's an extension of our artistic self. It's a way to help cope with things, you know, when you hold a plastic model and build your you know, alien spaceship or your giant kaiju, you know, you hold it in your hand, you know, you sort of come to grips with these things that as a little kid made you want to sleep under the bed, but you didn't, because that's where the monsters were. All right, raise your hand if when you were a little kid you wouldn't let your arms or legs stick out of the side of the bed because there were monsters in the bed that might bite them off. But like every one of us, I outgrew it when I was 25. But getting back to the most expensive kit. Oh, I'm also hopefully this week, I'm going to get up with the guys at Atlantis and get do a Zoom video with them too. So that would be great. Got the script for Nito plastic models almost done, and Nishimoko is about halfway done. So in a few days I hope to get one or both of those out. And you know, thanks to you guys putting in these requests. There's so many model companies out there I didn't know existed, and some of them are niche companies that charge a lot. But I will say one thing for some of these really expensive movies, these really expensive models, is that like Zuka Maori and some of these others, is that they give you a lot for your money. I mean, the level of detail in models these days has gotten almost ludicrous. But I really don't know what the most expensive model is. Whether you adjust for time or not. Maybe that's one of those little memories you put out of your mind because you don't remember how much you spent one day. I don't even know if I've ever bought a $100 model. You'd think you'd remember that. But car models are routinely pushing $30 now. Oh heck, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the little 125 scale. I'm sure if you guys are buying the bigger stuff, the Fujimis and that stuff, those things are way up there. Again, you get a lot for your money. That brings up an interesting question of, you know, what, of course, model companies make their models for somewhat different target audiences, but what is the point where you're putting too much detail into a kit? I think one of the reasons companies like Monogram and Revell did so well was they reached a pretty good compromise between how complicated the kit should be and how good it should look. And Mike Machat told me something that was rather interesting. Is you're probably aware when you scale things down, our perception of them changes. You know, we have these two eyeballs that take in light photons, and our brain builds a picture out of with a reflected light photons. Well, if you walk up to a Spitfire at an air show, it's not going to look exactly the same as a Spitfire that's sitting on your desktop in 1/32 scale because of the size. We perceive them differently. Revell took that into account, and they actually took into account when they scaled things down about, let's make the shape a little different to accentuate certain things so that when it's scaled down and you look at it, it's still in your brain is perceived the same as the big one. Whereas a company like Tamiya, they make an exact, perfect, nearly perfect miniature reproduction. So you go out and look at a tank, and then you look at the Tamiya model, and somehow the Tamiya model seems off, even though technically it's actually the more accurate reproduction. So, chew on that one for a minute. So, But that, I guess, going back to what I've been bouncing in and out of in this constant stream of consciousness, the question for the day, which may or may not always be a thing, I guess it's something to do. What is the most expensive model you've ever bought? And I don't think it's Godzilla. I'm sure I've spent more than $52 on a model before, but I just don't remember it. But right now, that's it. And adjusted for dollars, I forget how much those Gato submarines cost, those big 1/72nd scale Revell jobs cost when they come out, but that may have been it. Because I paid the street price for my first one. Oh, that brings up another question. You're talking about for yourself or someone else, because I remember I paid. See, the Stagecoach I'm working on right now was, I think I paid $95 or $99 for it, but that's for a friend, and he's already paid me for it. Oh, before I forget, I want to thank Mr. Aiken for the book, and Mr. Bursch, I hope Bryce, I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry. I know I butcher these names, guys. I apologize. My last name's Cohnke, Kohnke, and I get that too. Mr. Knut, Mr. Kahonk, Mr. Kunk, and hey, at least they're trying. But anyway, I want to thank Mr. Reich for the 64 Polara. I think I know what I'm going to do with it. Instead of trying to chop it into a 4-door, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to make it like the Mopar, but I'm going to put it in the colors of my grandma's old car, and I'm going to give it little tweaks and dings, like, because when I got her car, I don't know how a little lady managed to put so many tweaks and dings into a car, but I'm going to put a lot of patina on it, but still leave it as like the Mopar Hemi. So what I can cut out, what I'll do is I'll see my grandma's car the way I wanted it to be when I had it, and because she had a little granny engine in it, and did Dodge have, I forget, I really don't remember what engine was in there, but I don't think it was a slant. And Mr. Aiken, thank you. That book on the CF-105 Aero is great. See, the Navy's up doing traffic patterns. I live near Naval Air Station Jacksonville, so we get military traffic over all the time. And I'm actually across the river. But so those are. I wanted to thank you guys for that, and this gives me a reason to get up in the morning, guys. I can't thank you enough. Remember, this is not my channel. This is our channel. Well, without you guys, I'd just be sitting here talking to myself, which, trust me, I do plenty of as it is. That's gonna bug me. I really don't know what the most expensive model I ever bought was. You'd think you'd remember that. You'd think.
Enjoy your coffee. See you later.